Hey, I'm back. Um, I guess this is a follow up with what the other stuff I've been doing, like the tribulation. So down there is Grand Junction. Um, but how do you live in places like this? It's a very good question. There's very little edible stuff to be here. Um, this is a medicinal. This is called Mormon tea. But you can see how it's jointed, and it's used to get rid of like your it kind of opens up your arteries in a lot of ways, very similar to ephedra. It opens up your inside like lungs and stuff. Like think of pseudoephedrine, where they used to sell it, that used to be highly behind the counter in pharmacies. And this bugger, these are juniper. These are where you get your gin from. These gin, the berries don't taste very good. They're pretty hard. They don't really have a taste. However, if you were desperate for food and calories, you could eat them. But my question, and you're looking out over a very long expanse of area. Way over there is Grand Mesa, and that's probably 30 to 40 miles. So in a day, you could probably, depending on how packed you are and how fit you are, in the olden days, you'll have to build up to it, but if you packed everything you could on you or a cart or whatever, then it would take you a little while. In the olden days, they went about 5 to 10 miles per day. But surviving out here would be a challenge. And it's also knowing where things are. Like I don't know if you can know, but you can see a body of water right there. But where else is water? There's also, because I know maps and where I am, south of me, right over there, beyond this ridge right here, if you go down in there, it's Colorado River. And obviously that would supply you with water and food. But if you were starving and had no water, no food, no nothing, life is going to be very difficult. And also, in that tribulation time, I don't know when it hits, but I know earthquakes will happen. So I don't know how the landscape will look. I don't know if we'll see the same stuff, because it's not your normal 1 to 10 earthquake. It's an earthquake that will utterly rock the place. Like one of the prophets that I've seen, well, I've seen two different ones where California falls into the ocean. San Andreas breaks, which is outside of San Fran, breaks apart, and the whole state goes into the water. I've seen old maps where there used to be a old like inland sea between California and Nevada, which was interesting. I don't know how accurate the map was, but surviving out here would be a major challenge. There's very little food supply out here, especially in the dead of winter. So my best chance would be getting over the Colorado River. And also, I don't know if you can see them, but there's buildings here. But the thing is Toby, don't go near the edge, bud. He's my buddy. That's Toby, my dog. And he's kind of an alert system for me. And I may follow his nose if a survival situation. But there'll also be fire raining down from heaven. There'll be plagues and pestilences. So you may have no other choice but to run to places out here. But what the Utes did is they seasonally went from low level to high level, and utilized the different elevations. Because I know in the summer, when I was up at Vega Lake, which is, let's see, so Grand Mesa is right there, and Vega is on the left side, or well, actually the northern side of Grand Mesa. Also in Grand Mesa, there's something like 350 lakes. However, they're snow covered and ice covered, so it would be a challenge. And also it dips into the negative degrees during the winter. So life up there will be very hard. But the biggest thing with surviving is you have to go to God and you have to show him that you're truly wanting to come back, and you can strive and all that. But I mean, I would not put it past that you may go multiple days without food. You may go multiple days without water, and that's a lot to take in. There are water sources here. Like I said, if I walked that way, I know that eventually I would hit the Colorado. However, the Colorado is not purified, so you would have to burn a fire in order to get charcoal, and then you could get gravel, and you could get some grass and other things and filter out the water. However, I'm not 100% if it would filter out like E. coli and that type of thing. But that's what they used in the olden days. There's a book called The Lost Ways, and so they used that in the olden days. But shelter is another big thing. There are places where you could be under rock. Just know that some of these places and caves you find may have critters inside of them, which may be of benefit to you. But snakes like to hide in places in groupings. And out here, I do know it's here. There's a thing called the midget-faced rattlesnake that's been they did research on it, and supposedly it's one of the most toxic rattlesnakes out there. And we do have them out here. They are very timid and shy, but they do live here. So that guy is out here, and we do have normal rattlesnakes. During the winter, they're gone. Just know also that snakes don't move very well when it's below 60 degrees. So if you find a snake, it's not going to move very well. However, if it tags you, there's a very great potential, depending on if it's your time to go or not. And basically, it's your allergic reaction to the venom and poison. But yes, so what you may have to do, you may have to end up raiding houses and stuff and then coming back to where you came from. And you may be in a place where what you can do is, if you have a place like this, and you can put stuff down and just carry like a small day pack or whatever, you can move a lot faster. Like I right now have very limited stuff. I have 3 water bottles, a doggy dish, and other things, and I can go 15-20 miles a day. But if you're fully loaded and you have other people with you, you're not going very fast. So, and also when you survive, you have to get up to high points like this, or what I would do is even go up higher to places like that and find out what's around you. Many people are going to die during this time. There's no way to put it lightly. Many people are going to pass on from plague. They're going to turn on each other. It clearly says, and I've heard prophets say it, that as soon as God takes home his people, his true chosen ones, which are very, very, very few, the other people turn on each other big time. Friends become foes. And it even says mother against daughter, father against son, and that type of thing. So it's very hard to trust people. However, I'm sure that you'll find a way. But what I was going with it is, you can stash your stuff here, go find a house that's near, raid the house, but you don't know what you'll find. You don't know if there'll be any food there left. Or if you know that there's a lake nearby that's good fishing, you can go fish and then come back. And you may have to go, you may find a really great spot, but it may take you 2 days to go to something in order to get resources. And then there's other things that will be happening. Grand Junction, I don't think, has any type of installations for, I don't know how to put this without getting, it's not really a hotbed for any type of military, I guess you could call it. It's not a place where it would be on the top list of, hey, let's get rid of this town. The one big reason why you would come here is there's a buttload of oil and gas, and I've passed, if you want charcoal, especially out here in the West, you look for places that are black. There is charcoal or coal embedded into the hillsides, and I've seen it this morning on this. So if you find like black coming out of the side, you dig a little ways and you can find charcoal. And charcoal helps you filter water. It also will help you make soap. There's a way to put it in water and process it and get I think it's lye in the water, and then you mix it with a fat of an animal. Also be aware that also during this time, if you have a dog, dogs will disappear. That's Meals on Wheels. I will never kill my dog, no matter what. I would rather starve to death than kill him, because dogs give you companionship. They give you a warning system. They will help you get to places, and yeah, they're kind of a guard. So there's a lot of benefits, and yeah, I could never do that. However, I don't know if I would put it past myself to eat a dog. Maybe if I were starving. But also what will happen during the tribulation is Yellowstone. So Yellowstone, so that's north, and almost directly north of me. It's about 400 or 500 miles north. So I'm within the blast radius of what Yellowstone would do if it went off. I would feel the surge. If you're anywhere around Yellowstone within 100 or 200 miles, you're dead. It's basically like a several, I would say 100 or several hundred megaton nuclear bomb going off all at once, and all that magma going into the air. That chamber is very big. It extends all the way to, I used to live in Twin Falls, which is like 300 miles away from it. So it's like 300 miles in most directions from Yellowstone. And what I heard from a prophet lately is there's a big spiritual, like a golden piece on it. So God has placed like you know how you have road projects and you put a piece down to cover the hole? Well, that's what God has done to Yellowstone. I've also heard a rumor that may be to hell, or to where some of the fallen angels are. But surviving out here, you also have to watch footprints. I mean, yeah, you won't be able to get footprints in rock slabs like this, but you also have to, like, if you have trails like this and you see any type of impression of foot or animal, you know an animal has been here. That could also be a good way of finding an animal, is if you have tracks and footprints, then you can find an animal. So but yeah, wherever you are, I would say find where your resources are. It may be one of those things where you have no option, you have to flee your house and you have to get out now. So that may happen. If you do not have God, you're not living through this. I mean, I've seen prophetic videos on this time, and people were fighting over a grasshopper. I've heard many mentions of people will go cannibal, which means they'll eat each other, which is kind of unfathomable. And this is why I was talking with tracks. This right here, very clear, distinct, probably within the day, but these are bike tracks. And then this guy right here, that's my dog footprint. But if you see something like that and it has claws in it, that's a dog, and so that's your coyote. A smaller print that's about like that, that's a dog print that has no claws, is your fox, that also live around you. Fox are not known to attack people. Coyotes definitely are, but they are food. But they are definitely around. If you have a print like that with no claws, we do have panthers in the area that they are very big and very muscular. I would say 120, 130 pounds, and can take a full-size deer and jump 40 to 50 feet. So if he were down here, he'd be able to jump that within seconds with a full-grown deer in his mouth. So, and I read a survival book, and like these are grass heads, and the grass heads can be used as flour. And it said all grass seeds, and I don't know how true that is, but I think it is. This off greenish stuff, this is sage, really good for like soap, antibacterial, that type of thing. So if you want to keep clean, that's probably your best bet. Toby, come back. But yeah, so you got to think of survival. You got to think of how to be stealthy. You got to think of, okay, so that's a cactus. You can't really eat them, because even if you get the outer needles off, there's still what are called glochids, which are little needles, and they can mess you up. It doesn't feel very good, and they don't really go away. I guess over a period of time they may, but so yeah, I mean, that may be there's a hole up there, but these may be good hiding spots for short term. And I saw a video recently of someone who was talking about shelter, and they said that if you find a shelter, so if that rock right there where your shelter, and you were walking this way, and you saw a good spot over to you, what you want to do is go beyond it and then come back to it. However, if there's evidence that there's a camp there, and they're very observant and they see you, that's kind of goes out the window. So you can't make it very obvious. You have to conceal your area somewhat. You can take grass and other things and make the prints go bye-bye. So there are ways of doing it. If you have a bike, you'll need a lot of tubes and that type of thing. And out here, the rocks and thorns and everything are very hard on tires. This right here is very hard to ride in, unless you're a really good bicyclist. I take my time. I can get by, but this would this would undo me. But yeah, I mean, you got to think of transportation. It's like, okay, what am I going to use in that time? How am I going to get from A to B if I don't have a car? I mean, if a bomb or something goes off, nuclear bombs give off a EMP, electromagnetic pulse, and all electronics, including the device I'm using, is going to go bye-bye. So you'll have to be good at, sorry, I'm trying to figure out what time it is. You'll have to be good at navigating and trying to figure out where you are. The sun is a good one. That is your east-west. Sun comes up in the east, sets in the west. And at nighttime, you can kind of get oriented with they almost look like pans in the sky, but the Little Bear and the Big Bear, the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper, they point towards the north. If you know the landscape and where things are and how you fit on the map, if you have a map, that will help. Because then, it's like, okay, well, that's north of me, so that's north. And that's south of me, because that's south, because I ran into that yesterday. So yeah. So yeah, I mean, during this time, you're going to just have to adapt in order to survive. Do not count on you being raptured. I would not count on that. There are many, many, many false prophets. That's why I am not at church today, because I don't trust them. It does say to be around believers. It does say that you need to be around people. But if they're saying something that is contradicting the Bible, get the heck out of there, because that's not a safe place to be. But yeah. So this is a good way to just know what's out there. But yeah, you just gotta think off the top of your head how to survive, where to go, what to do. And yeah, I mean, you may go days without food. I mean, that's almost a given. You may have to wait a little while before the chaos goes down. You'll also have drones going around. You'll also have demons and other things that are making their way around. And you'll also have giants, like I've said in my previous videos. But yeah, if you don't know your plants, that would be a helpful thing to know, or to get a guide of the regional plants that are in your area, because they are out there. They're about $20 to $25, and I would highly suggest getting that. And maybe getting a survival book as well, because they'll teach you how to cook a stealthy fire. It'll teach you how to navigate cloud patterns, that type of thing. But you're in it for the long haul, and until you die, you exit the world. However, do not try to kill yourself when the rapture happens, because death will flee from this area. So, Toby, flipping move, dog. Sorry, he's not moving. I love my dog, but yeah, sometimes he stops in the middle and I tripped over him. See what else. But yeah, I mean, it's also about reading the weather. Like with all these black clouds, you kind of know that rain is on the forecast. So it may be a great time to collect water. Tabby, come on. But yeah, you're gonna have to learn ways of collecting water. You can make a solar still. Basically, you have to make a hole in the ground, and then you have a collector in the middle, and you have a tarp or something over the top of that. And what happens is when the water evaporates, it goes to the middle of it. And you have to actually have humidity in the air and that type of thing as well. I've also heard where you take needles and leaves and you bag them up, and they do evaporation when they're alive, and so they give off water. This is part of their chemical process. Trying to think of what else. But yeah, I mean, there is hidden manna. In the letters to the church, God clearly says that I have hidden manna for those people. I've also seen in the book of the Apocrypha that Leviathan will provide resources to people that are near the coast. Don't quite know what coast or what continent, but he is a big guy that will be used. And the same thing for the behemoth. He's under our noses. He's very big, and you will not be able to detect him, but he is around us as well. So, Toby, come on. But yeah, survival is, the tribulation is actually a time where you're not supposed to be surviving. You're actually, if you're in the tribulation, you're going to pay for what you have done and sinned on this earth. You have rejected Yeshua or Jesus and his blood. I don't know if it's still, in this time, if it's still acceptable as a covering for you. I've been asking that and I don't know. but you have to show him that you're serious and that you truly want him. But I mean, if it's in the Bible, I mean, God's got to basically follow it. I mean, it doesn't say, oh, well, the tribulation's the exception. That's not the case. However, the wrath on this planet is going to be like never before. A lot of people are stubborn and hard-hearted, and so they'll refuse to turn back. They'll refuse to turn away from their evilness. And so yeah. But I would go to Yeshua, get right with him before the rapture happens. And his chosen people are the ones that have rejected the world. As it says, if you're a friend of the world, you're an enemy of God, and vice versa. If you're his, you will be hated, you will be persecuted. And if you have not taken the mark of the beast, you will, if they catch you, which is depending on how, where you are and how close to society you are, and how good you are at being stealthy, that may be your life. Oh, this is another, it's called saltbush, but you can see how the leaves are rounded. I think it may also be called creosote bush. It provides a natural salt. I guess if you boil the water and then allow the water to boil off, it'll leave salt behind. One thing that'll be hard is trying to make oil in this area. I've been looking at ways of making oil. They just don't exist around here. I mean, we do have cattail in certain places near the Colorado River, but cattails provide flour and not oil. So oil, you may have to go without oil. But in the way that we've been eating up to this point, we're eating way too much. Our bodies can live on way less. And right now you probably are like, nope, I can't live on way less. But you may not have any other choice. So you may be a very different version of yourself after a little while. But yeah, I mean, I pray for you all, that those that are going through, I believe we're already in the tribulation. I've already had 2 dreams referencing that, saying it's here. I believe that we're going to year 6,000, which I'm not 100% certain of this, but I believe it's right around 2030 is year 6,000. And that's pretty much, that will be the start of the millennial reign, because it goes from 6,000 to 7,000 years that this planet's been alive. As it says, 1 year is like 1,000 years. And that's in reference to Genesis. And it was in, I think that was it Enoch 2? I saw a reference to that, where it said that every day of creation is like 1,000 years. So God is allowing the planet to go 6,000 years. So you will have to make it a little while. And it also says if the days hadn't been shortened, even the saints wouldn't have made it, or something along that line. It would have made it a very hard task. So if his people are having struggle, if you're not part of him, there's almost no way you will make it. Especially in a place like this where there's very, very little food. However, I mean, if you go up higher elevation, like I know there's higher elevation over there, there's Glade Park and that type of thing. but there's very limited water resources, so that's going to be a big issue. And it also says that the water goes to sweet or bitter, and I think I think that's in reference to something else, because I know a tsunami will hit the land and will cause a massive amount a tidal wave that's several thousand feet tall, and so the water will instantly turn bitter, because when salt water hits fresh water, you're kind of screwed at that point. So yeah, but I mean, you may not have paths like this. You may be going through fields like this, and you'll just have to read the land. It's like, you'll just have to know where you're going. You'll have to get a visual from a high point like that, or like this over here, and then like, okay, well, I'm going to follow this, and we're going to go down over here, and it may take you a while to figure out where you are and how to live and that type of thing. Shelters are going to be hard to do, because I don't see many trees. Do you? The trees that I do see are like, they're not very straight. They're like shrubby, and shrubs are not easy to deal with. Yeah, I mean, there are shelters, like there's vacation homes and stuff that people will obviously vacate and not follow, and that type of thing. So there is that. Anything else? Toby, come on, bud. Toby, come now. Sorry, he's but yeah, so thank you for joining me. I've covered trying to be stealthy and just different points to think about, but I mean, it's just about not being caught. I mean, you'll have planes and stuff over your head. Do not worry about radars, because they don't exist. What they are high altitude balloons, and because we live in a dome, we live in a firmament, so everything above us, like the sun, which is right here, is in the dome, and the dome is called like sky ice. They found it in Antarctica, and it was this, in order to have it happen, had to be really, really cold, because if it's not really cold, it dissolves very quickly. So, but we're living in a firmament. I was shown the foundations in a dream. And you may think, okay, well, you have a visual of like this earth and the water is falling off the earth. Think more of like a basin, like a sink kind of thing, where where it's like a sink, and so you have a bowl shape to hold everything. And there's actually, Antarctica is not a it's pretty much an ice wall. If you get on Google Earth and try to go around the distance, you'll notice that it produces a circle, and it doesn't calculate right, because Antarctica doesn't exist. And we've also, that may not be the outer boundary. I've seen references that there are places where you can go through the ice wall, and then there are outlier lands. However, I don't know how accurate that is. And it's one of those things that we won't get answered until beyond here. So yeah. Anything else? But yeah, I mean, you're gonna just have to, I mean, when you're running, I mean, you may not be able to stay in your house. I mean, you can stay in your house for a little bit, but and if you're trying to escape a city and don't have a place to go, do not take and I was told this by a prepper, do not go on main arteries. You go on things like railroads, you go on things like back roads or dirt roads to get you out of there. If you go on the main road, you're screwed. You're pretty much a sitting target. you're going to hit a pileup of traffic. Any person that's tried to escape a natural disaster knows this, because the main arteries, like your I-70s and whatever interstates and main arteries getting out of there, are going to be so clouded with people that you're not going to be able to get out. Anything else? Well, God bless you all. And yeah, I would turn back to God now. You have been lied to, and we are on the cusp of something majorly bad happening. So thank you for joining me. I don't know what other topics I'm going to do, because when you're out west, there aren't very many plants around you. Like at 4,000 feet, you're limited. Like with grass cover, the juniper and the pinyon pine. Pinyon nuts are another thing that you could eat, but they may not be available until like autumn and fall, because you have to produce pine cones, and that happens in the fall. Toby, come back. Toby, this way. Also, when you're looking for stuff, when you're trying to survive, there may be critters in the ground. Like, I know that we have like chipmunks and ground squirrels and other things. So if you find a hole like this or like that there, you know an animal's been here. And so you'll have to just dig it up. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, yeah. The only way you're going to survive this is if you turn back to Yeshua, and it's going to be the hardest battle you'll ever face. But just know that if you give in and take the MOB, then you will go the opposite way, and you'll be there for all of eternity. Part 1 has already happened. Part 1 was the how do I say this? The substance that goes in your body that someone demanded that you take in order to get rid of a certain disease that happened in 2020. But they put in mRNA. mRNA alters your body. How you know this? And it has luciferase in it. Luciferase is a bioluminescent gel. You can find out that this stuff is in you. You get a UV light. You basically look at your veins. If they light up like a Christmas tree, well, not quite like a Christmas tree. If they light up, then you know you have it. They took them all down, but there were UV lights that were placed in strategic places, and so many people knew exactly what they were that they took them all down, which I find awesome. But yes, don't trust anything that comes out of anyone's mouth. Always follow it up. Always watch your back. It's a time when you don't know who to trust, but the one person you can trust is him. He is around. He is not a figment of anyone's imagination. I've seen him in dreams and visions. I've seen him also in cloud formations. And you're like, oh, well, you just were imagining it. You were just using your creativity. No, it was clearly a facial outline, and you could see the crown of thorns. You could see the beard, and you could clearly see that it was a face of a person. I saw it twice. So, and I've also seen one where it was like a very large figure, and earth was in his hand, and I was on his hand, and he was basically saying, I have you in my hand. So he is real. Evolution is flipping crap. Evolution is a complete hoax. If you think about it, there have never been any intermittent fossils. If there was an animal that went from one thing to another, you would have an intermediate fossil. You would have a way of going from one thing to another. And that's never happened. The Paleolithic people that they claim are around, those skulls and stuff have been manipulated too. Or they'll find a malformation skull, and they're like, oh, well, this was a ape, and they'll find like 5-6 bones that they claim were this person. Your body has like what, 100 or 200 bones, and if you can put together a whole entire skeleton with 8 pieces, it's just like a puzzle. I mean, it's like, okay, you have 100, 500 pieces, and if you only have 8 of them, you have no idea what you're doing. I mean, it's kind of like one of those things. Things have adapted, but they cannot prove at all that one thing has evolved from another. They can never not prove that the Big Bang even existed. There was a reference point for God, and I will say that. Yeah. So, thank you for listening. Take care. God bless. And I wish you the best.